Part 35, The Intention and Goals of Spreading Sacred Knowledge. Listen to a part of the sayings from Spiritual Energies with the topic, The Intention and Goals of Spreading Sacred Knowledge, by Lubisha Stoyanovich, who transferred the sayings received in deep meditation to the book Enlightenment. The essence of the effects of the spread of sacred knowledge consists, of course, primarily in harmonizing thoughts with the will of the Creator and achieving the correct way of thinking, but also in getting to know the Creator, His work, with the need to respect and love Him immensely. The spread of sacred knowledge has the task of making the human community progress quickly according to the will of the Creator, so this whole enterprise is closely connected with the Creator and He is the central personality, the central goal and the essence of the whole enterprise. The spread of sacred knowledge in the human race on planet Earth represents the project of returning people to the Creator, to His will, that is the essence of sacred knowledge. That is the goal of sacred knowledge. The basis of spreading sacred knowledge, its essence, its ultimate goal is the harmonization of people's thoughts and ways of thinking with the will of the Creator. Everything else is support, aid, relief, guidance, removal of obstacles on that path. When this is achieved, then humanity will have multiple benefits, because it will not end with people harmonizing their thoughts and way of thinking with the Creator's will, and everything remaining the same, not changing, people starving and dying of hunger, taught there is a terrible exploitation of man against man, that there are too rich and too poor, that there is national, religious, racial hatred that creates wars, greed, gluttony, kidnapping, exploitation of other nations, etc. This is today's situation, but the harmonization of thoughts and ways of thinking with the will of the Creator leads to epochal, grandiose changes that have never existed among people, if we count back 127,000 years, since the fall from paradise. In the beginning, some things will be partially fixed, some significantly, some completely, but at the end of the period of spread of sacred knowledge, not all problems will be eliminated, because there is no material base for that. What will surely improve is that there will be no wars, that people will start solving their problems peacefully. That's number one, and that's the most important thing. People's way of thinking will improve to that extent, which will create a completely different public opinion, the opinion of the majority that will be against wars, against exploitation, against the too rich and the poor, against the hungry and dying of hunger, against exploitation of all kinds. This will begin to gradually bring changes, not big steps, but simply people with a positive way of thinking in one, in another, in all countries of the world will not be able to bear, to suffer huge differences in wealth that are not justified, which were not acquired by work, but by robbery, conquest, exploitation. This means that the end of the period of the spread of sacred knowledge will bring about a change in the way of thinking in relation to all the problems affecting today's humanity, whereby some will be able to change to a considerable extent, in a positive sense, above all where it is only a matter of the way of thinking, whose change will already lead to improvement. For some, there will be partial changes, to the removal of the most negative attitudes, while especially for those that require material resources for realization, such as improving the material condition of the poorest countries in the world, as well as the poorest people in each country, it will only be partially improved. Exactly as much as those countries and the whole world have the material strength and as much strength as there is to transfer part of the wealth of those who are too rich to those who are dying of hunger or to those who are extremely poor. It means that changes, positive changes will begin, they will be really huge, historic, all-encompassing, because they will cover all the countries of the world, but they will lack the material means for the ultimate realization, for the ultimate completion, i.e. the removal of all the troubles and problems of people, which, on the one hand humanity as a whole has none, and on the other hand, there is no will for those who have too much to share a part of it with the poor, and there is no state power to force those who are too rich by legal regulations to transfer a serious part of their wealth to the poor. These are therefore problems that can only be solved by help from the cosmos, which will not only provide for the lack of material resources to meet these needs, primarily of the hungry and poor and those of the lowest classes, but will also ensure the gradual development of their standard that in a few years will reach the level of standards of the upper middle class, which is considered to provide a peaceful, safe, comfortable life for all people of the world. This will automatically lead to social changes as a consequence of the situation, general employment, as a consequence of the 2 to 3 hour working day, that wealth will gradually lose its significance, its image, its power, because it will have nothing to pressurize, blackmail, to rule over those who are poor, and this will lead to epochal changes, because wealth will soon, already in this generation, become more of an image, more of an ornament, such as medieval titles, castles, whose owners do not know what to do with it, because they no longer serve for safe protection from the enemy. This will, therefore, in a short time lead to such epoch-making changes that will create an extremely safe, secure life and work in all countries of the world, which will represent a real little paradise compared to today's state of daily war dangers and the dangers of nuclear energy use. Just by improving the way of thinking and removing the most negative thoughts, humanity will already enter the transition between the 13th and the 12th, and then gradually, with the development of the ideal order and its continuity, it will continue to advance rapidly, because there will be no factors that will disrupt this sudden ascent of people towards the Creator. The Treasury of Sacred Knowledge is grateful for your interest and sends you a lot of spiritual patience and love.